Welcome to the Meat Magazine Interviews radio show. As I'm your host, Meat Magazine, and as always, I have an interesting guest today. Mr. Washington Tharpe is calling in. Now, Mr. Tharpe is a gentleman who was sexually harassed and abused by two women at a gas station. He went one day to fuel up his car, and two young women approached him, groped him, rubbed themselves against him, and appeared to possibly even attempted to rob him, which was all caught on a surveillance camera. He feared for his life, thinking that maybe there were men waiting outside for him. He got into his car and drove away, and after the police came, one of the two women was apprehended. Now, Mr. Tharpe, in hindsight, decided to show the women some mercy and forgive them for their crimes. And he no longer wants them to serve time in jail. However, when the gas station video went viral, Mr. Tharpe did his interviews with different news organizations about the events, and there were still a lot of unanswered questions. Now, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into the story today, and we're also going to find out a little bit more about Mr. Tharpe, because there's a lot of questions about who he is that weren't really asked or talked about on the news. So I'm going to see if Mr. Tharpe is on the line here. One moment. Hello, Washington.
Yes, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing well yourself?
I'm doing great. Hey, can you let the listeners know a little bit about yourself?
Yes, basically a local middle school Spanish teacher, of course, along with some other part-time jobs as well. Grown and raised in a southern town in Tennessee and lived most of my life in Miami, Florida, and Costa Rica, and moved to the D.C. area a couple of years ago.
Okay. Now, you said that you spent some time living in Costa Rica?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long have you been in Washington, D.C.?
A little bit over a year in Washington, D.C. Before that, spent 2 years in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay, so were you originally from Maryland or from another state?
No, originally from Tennessee.
Okay, originally from Tennessee. Now, how long have you been teaching in the D.C. area?
D.C. area, I've been teaching. This will be the second year in the D.C. area, but a total teaching of 13 years.
Wow. And the only subject you teach is Spanish, or do you teach other subjects as well?
I also teach Spanish, Portuguese, ESL, English for Second Language learners.
Okay. I definitely want to ask you some more questions about your teaching career, but I wanted to start off with the unfortunate incident that happened at the gas station that we came to know you for. And, I wanted to know basically from the beginning what really happened, because how I learned about the incident was from the news, and a lot of times, they leave a lot of different things out, and the story can be a little bit confusing. And I wanted to know from your words, what happened that day at the gas station?
Okay, basically, upon arriving, I was headed to Baltimore. I had just gotten off work. I got off work around 3:30, and I was heading northbound on New York Avenue, going towards Baltimore, and decided to stop at the Shell gas station, the one with the car wash, right before you cross the intersection to the Interstate 295 towards Baltimore. Upon arriving to the gas station, I was going just to purchase gas, and upon entering, I was minding my own business on the telephone, talking to one of my friends, telling him I'm getting ready to come there to visit, and I was trying to pay for gas. So I was looking for my money, to pay for the gas. I didn't have a chance to even pay for the gas or even ask for the amount of gas when this female in a dark dress began bagging her Botex on my private part in the front. And she was just shaking and then grabbing. Of course, the video didn't show her grabbing that way because her arm was twisted back. And then the woman dressed in the red dress came behind me and started grabbing my front part and the back part and put her hand in my pocket. I'm assuming she was trying to go after my wallet. I don't know. I was doing tosses and turning, trying to get them to prevent themselves from touching me. And I kept asking them to stop over and over, of course. And they were whispering things in my ear like, come on, Poppy, we know you want it. Take us with you, take us to the hotel. We're going with you, etc. I then asked the cashiers to assist in the matter, and the cashiers basically stated, what do you want us to do? At that point, I was like livid. I'm like, look, man, call the police. Push the button that you have, behind the counter. They refused to do so. So finally, the girls kind of paused a moment, and I was able to pay for my gas, got outside to the gas pump, got ready to go to my car, and then the one in the red dress decided to jump on my car, and then she grabbed the door of my car, would not let me in my own car. I told her to move, and then as she moved, she went to the other side of the car, tried to get in the car while I was trying to open the door, so I locked the door back. Came back to pump for gas. She was coming toward me. The one in the red dress, I asked her, I said, wait, something's not right about this. I said, are you guys women or men? Because if you're a man, I'm going to deck you, So I got in the fifth position, and so did she, or he, or whatever. I don't know the gender correctly. Anyway, as she was coming forward, she grabbed my left arm. At that point, I was like, okay, now I got to defend myself. So I don't care if you're a woman or a man, but I'm not going to get hurt at. I saw those 12 boys over there looking, thinking that they were working for them. One of them was going to cap me or something, shoot me or something, the way they were looking, but, they didn't do so. So I grabbed my arm, put it to my chest, and then I threw her as hard as I could towards the ground. Unfortunately, even with high heels on, she didn't fall all the way. She came back up in fifth position. I'm like, oh, my God, you must be a man. I said, you're a man, tell me. And then both of them decided to flash me. They raised their skirts up, so I saw their vaginas, and then they raised their shirts up, and I saw their breasts and everything. Now, as I was looking, I couldn't tell if it was real or not, but it looked like some worn-out piece of equipment that they were carrying from that day. But after that, they must have seen the handcuffs. I have a set of handcuffs in my car, so they must have seen the handcuffs and must have thought I was a police officer or something, so they kind of backed off for a moment, unless they were motioned from one of the guys or the pimp. I got in the car, drove in the car wash to get ready to call 911. I didn't even have a chance to call 911 because both of the girls came inside the car wash as I turned it on. They didn't care if the water was running or not. They got soaking wet inside the car wash coming after me. So they must have been able to hear me on the phone with 911 because I had it on Bluetooth and the car radio was pretty loud. So I was telling 911, I said, help, please help me. I have two she-men coming after me. I think they're trying to kill me. I don't know. Somebody needs to send police out here, as soon as possible. They asked for the location. I didn't even know where I was really at that time. So they finally traced it, and they said we're sending some officers over at that time. I didn't see any officers coming, so my only instinct was to turn on the car completely and floor it. So I put my foot completely on the gas, and I was like, okay, it's either them or me. So if they're in my way, they're going to get run over. But they ran out of the car wash, and then I never saw them again until now on the media.
Wow, that's a crazy story for you to have to live through that. That must have been pretty scary. What were your initial thoughts when all of this was going on?
Okay, to be honest, I thought they were really going to put gunpoint at some point to me and then rob me. Because in D.C., in that area, in Northeast, we've been having gunshot after gunshot. In Southeast, gunshot. I mean, if you look in the news every day, you're going to see about 5 or 6 people getting shot. Unfortunately, we don't have enough police to handle that situation, so I did the best I could. So I had to stay calm, collected for a moment, but then put defense mechanism, thinking all these people coming after me. I'm like, oh, no, I'm not going down today. No one is about to shoot me today. So I had to do what I had to do. But the media made it look like that I called 911 because 2 girls were twerking on me, and grabbing me. Yes, it was an unwanted touch, an unwanted feel, an unwanted growth. It was really disgusting having those people just touch your genitals, without your permission and all that stuff. And plus, I'm a school teacher. What kind of precedents does that make for students that are watching on TV and all this other stuff that I have to explain to every other day when they ask me questions? But the main idea was I was worried about my safety. Definitely worried about my safety. And the fact that the 2 cashiers did nothing, absolutely nothing, within this 10-minute period of time to assist with the matter, it just blows me away.
Right. Now when you were explaining things in detail, you said that one of the women jumped on the hood of your car. Or rather, you said she jumped on your car. Did you mean that
Right.
she jumped on the actual hood or the trunk or?
No. Jumped like threw her body kind of over the car, kind of over the hood, not completely on the hood, covering it, but like her legs were still on the ground, but her, I guess from the what do you call it, the waist,
The waist up.
the waist area, yes, the waist up was on the car, and then she blocked me from getting in the car. And the video that the media has yet to present shows all of this occurring. I don't know why the officers only released, or the investigator only released a fourth of the video, but that video that you saw on TV was only about a minute to 2 minutes worth of time. I mean, this whole incident took place for about 10 minutes because I called 911 at 4:08, and the video kicks off around 3:58 to 3:58 and some seconds.
Okay. Now, you also mentioned that you had handcuffs in the car.
Yeah.
I was just, yeah.
Yes, handcuffs in the car. I always carry those handcuffs in the car for deterring people. For some reason, it's always worked. Baltimore is not always a safe area in which to live. D.C. definitely is not. So usually when you have handcuffs in your car, it kind of deters people away. I have a couple of cousins who are police officers, and I have a lot of friends who are police officers, so it kind of works to deter criminals.
That has to be one of the smartest and most interesting ways I've ever heard of people kind of throwing off criminals and keeping them, from pulling something on you. That's actually a really good tip, and I'm pretty sure that some of the listeners are possibly even going to try something like that because that's actually ingenious. Of course, people will see the handcuffs and automatically assume that you must be law enforcement to have them. That's actually really, really smart. And what I wanted to know was, how did the police react when you told them about the incident?
And here's the funny part about it. I thought that they wouldn't take it seriously. A female cop first arrived to the house to take questions after they finally were summoned. When she first arrived, she was asking me questions like, why did it take me so long to contact the police? And I'm thinking, madam, I called 911. I didn't know the procedure here in D.C., but usually when you call 911, police come, But this was like 11 o'clock at night when she arrived to the house. It took that long for her to get a statement. And she was kind of like iffy about the situation. She didn't really understand the severity. But when she called her male partner, who was the investigator was very, 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 not only was he sympathetic, he was very, concerned, and he was very apologetic for the delay that it took for the police department to respond. And he said he's going to handle it, efficiently and as quick as he could. He made sure I was safe. Another partner of his came, an African-American cop from the Northeast area came to me, and he said that basically that area is known for notorious events taking place, and that he apologized repeatedly for no one responding, in quick time.
Wow, I'm glad to see that they responded like that, because I have heard some horror stories about men who attempted to report things to the police and, for example, being raped or harassed, and basically they were laughed at. And, there seems to be a climate of victim blaming when it comes to men who have experienced crimes like this. Did you experience any victim blaming from society?